Hello and welcome to the MIS test. My name is Ed Cadwallader, and in this series of videos I'm reviewing 4 MIS systems to help you if you think your MIS could do more to drive your school's improvement and you're contemplating a change. To begin with, I'm focusing on secondary schools and I'm comparing 4 systems: Advanced Learning's Progresso, Bromcom by Bromcom, RM's Integris, and of course the big dog, SIMS. In the interest of disclosure, I'd like to mention that I have a working relationship with Bromcom, but neither they nor anyone else has paid for this series, and the views expressed are all my own. In this video, I'm considering the systems from a global perspective, so I'll begin by looking at setup and the migration process. I'll touch on technical support and then I'll compare costs. Finally, I'll make a few comments about your legal obligations and the purchase of external advice. Setup and access. One of the most important decisions about your MIS is whether to host the system on your own servers or in the cloud. Cloud hosting means that the data sits on servers controlled by the MIS company. They take care of backups and upgrades, and you access the data via a web browser. Self-hosting means you buy and maintain a server in your school, and that stores all your data. The benefits of the cloud are that you can access your data from anywhere with an internet connection. You don't have to buy or maintain any hardware, and your system would be unaffected by damage to your school building like fire or flood. The downsides are that performance is dependent on the quality of your internet connection, and you have less control over when updates are installed. The pros and cons of self-hosting are the reverse. You have possibly faster performance and the ability to, say, delay applying an update you know to have caused problems in other schools. On the downside, you have to buy and maintain a server, and the risk of damage leading to a loss of data and access is higher. Bromcom give the option of hosting the system yourself or basing it on their servers. Integris and Progresso are solely cloud-based. The default for SIMS is self-hosting, which, unlike Bromcom, requires software to be installed on every machine that requires access. do though offer a cloud service where they host for you, but that carries a significant additional cost of around £4,500 for an average secondary school. Migration. A really important factor if you're going to switch MIS is the ease of the migration process. I'm going to look at specifics in a later video and hopefully interview some school leaders who have done it. So for the moment, I'm just going to outline what for me are the 3 key questions you need to ask an MIS provider you're thinking of switching to. Obviously, there are a whole lot more questions that need answering internally before you switch, but in this video, we're focusing on the providers. Number 1. Is there a dedicated person at the MIS company in charge of making sure the process goes smoothly? Number 2. How long after the decision to purchase will the new system be ready to go live? And number 3. Are they happy to provide a list of every school that switched in the past year for you to contact? The last one I think is important because if the company says, talk to this person about the process, that could be the one client they have where everything went right. Here's what our 4 providers said in answer to these questions. At Bromcom, you get a deployment manager to oversee migration, then a customer account manager to oversee rollout. They estimate 2 to 6 weeks from purchase to system going live, and they are happy for you to contact recently migrated schools. At Integris, you get a dedicated contact, and while they estimate the normal time lapse between purchase and the system going live at around 6 weeks, it could be as little as 1 week if you're in a hurry, as their extraction tool can take the data from your existing MIS and put it into Integris in a single day. They have a list of schools for you to contact, which while it doesn't include everyone, they say represents a range of experience and hasn't been cherry-picked. At Progresso, you get a dedicated contact. They estimate 6 to 8 weeks for the transfer, and they say that while some schools do not want their contact details shared, a good number don't mind. And for SIMS, say yes to a dedicated contact. They estimate 3 months for the transfer, and they say they would approach schools to ask permission before passing along contact details. A final point on migration, Bromcom, Integris and Progresso will pull your data out of your existing MIS, while SIMS require you to provide it to them on spreadsheets. Tech support. Okay, so it's really difficult for me to make a general judgment about the quality of technical support and third-party compatibility. I don't have the resources to conduct a proper survey of schools, and I don't want to present anecdotes from my experience as if they were concrete data. I would, though, like to make a general point about the state of the MIS market. As you can see, SIMS is far and away the largest provider with a whopping 75% market share. So what does this tell us? Well, on the one hand, it means that any serious third-party software will work with SIMS, and if for some reason it stops working with SIMS, fixing that issue will be top priority. It also means that when you recruit new staff, if they have prior experience in a school, they'll probably already be familiar with the system, and you can draw on a wealth of knowledge and tips from colleagues in other schools and friendly expert consultants, who can help you get the most out of the system. The downside is that the marginal importance of your business is that much smaller when you're just one of Capita's 2,893 secondary school clients. If SIMS is, for whatever reason, playing up and causing you problems, then the CEO of Capita is not cracking heads and making people stay late to see that those problems get fixed. With the smaller providers, you may need to devote more resources to training, and you might find external help structuring your assessment setup or timetabling harder to find. On the plus side, your provider has so much more of an incentive to make migration seamless and give you the MOS of your dreams because they're looking to build their reputations and expand in a way Capita just don't have to. Of course, you're not guaranteed better service from a smaller provider, but it's reasonable to assume that they'll try harder to give it to you. So in other words, a classic establishment versus insurgent dilemma. There's no easy answer about which is the best choice, but I think it's worth considering in the context of your school's needs. By the way, thank you very much for the Eduware network for these figures. It's a fabulous resource if you're looking to learn more about the MIS market and MIS providers, and I recommend you check it out. Costs. The cost of an MIS depends on your pupil numbers, and some providers sell modules separately, so it's important to research these offers fully to ensure you're comparing like for like. I've tried to provide quotes for comparable packages, but bear in mind that each system is different, so approach these figures as estimates just to give you a general idea. Bromcom offered two packages, Standard and Plus. The extra features of the Plus package are the Behaviour module, Advanced Data Analysis, SMS and emailing to parents, and the Parent Portal. My guess is that most schools will consider these, especially Behaviour Management, essential, so I'm quoting here the Plus package figures. They are an initial fee of £1,100 with an optional £5,250 training package, and then for an average school of 1,000 pupils, an annual licence of £8,500. Integris offer their full suite for an initial fee of £7,000 and then an annual licence of around £5,000. Progresso say their ballpark figure is £10 per pupil, and that covers everything, including all modules, hosting and support. For that you also get Facility Scheduler to do your timetable. So for our average school of 1,000 pupils, that's an annual fee of £10,000. SIMS, for a secondary school with 1,000 pupils, Capita estimate the cost of switching as a £10,000 licence fee, and then £15,000 for setting up the system, which includes 13 on-site training days, then an annual cost of around £5,000. This is for the basic package, which doesn't include lesson registration, just statutory AM and PM, In Touch for contacting parents, or the finance package. Adding those will add around £5,000 to the annual cost. Indirect costs. So the true cost of your MIS is not the amount that's written on the invoice. You need to add to that the rest of the money you will spend on equipment and services, and the time your staff will have to set aside to learn the system, which is an equally valuable resource. In particular, you should consider, will we need servers and backups, and what would be their cost to buy and maintain? Will our IT technicians need to set up machines or make other changes to the network? Do we use or want third-party software that requires information from our MIS, and how seamless will getting this information then be? And finally, what are the costs and quality of the training and technical support we will require? Legal. So, a surprising fact I found out researching this video is that if you say go to Bet and you see an MIS you like, and you go back to school and buy it, you've just broken the law. So it turns out that EU procurement law applies to schools and lays out a set of procedures for buying an MIS. But before we grab our pitchforks and march on Brussels, having looked at the regulations, which you can find via the links on my website, www.rsIc.co.uk, I think it's an example of legally mandated common sense. Basically, what you have to do is work out exactly what you want your MIS to do, then write to every provider asking them if their product meets your spec and how much it costs. I can't emphasize enough how important I think the first part is. I'll talk more about this in subsequent videos when I discuss assessment, but I see a lot of schools who analyse the data they have, not the data they want. So before you even look at alternative software, I recommend you discuss this fully with a focus on the end user. So less, we want a system that tracks pupil progress because, of course you do. Rather, we want our heads of department to see this specific information in a report, our SLT to easily access this. Design the reports you want your end users to see, then ask the providers if their system can give them to you. Independent advice. Okay, so I'm an independent consultant specialising in MIS systems, so bear that in mind when listening to my advice about if you should hire an independent consultant specialising in MIS systems. So whichever provider you speak to is going to tell you that their product is amazing and does everything you could possibly want it to. So you need someone who knows precisely what it is you want and has enough technical nous to question the sales team to ensure that they understand what that is and are being truthful when they say it's possible. If you don't have such a person, or you do, but you need their skills elsewhere, then consider hiring a consultant. Start with a bias against this, because however professional they are, they're not going to care as much about getting it right as you do. But if it addresses a skills gap in your procurement team, then it's money well spent. Okay, so we've covered our systems from a general and cost perspective. But of course, the most important questions are what the systems can do, how easy they are to use, and whether they meet your needs. I'll be addressing these in the upcoming videos, so I hope to see you soon. Documents with more details can be found at www.rsic.co.uk, and if you have questions, please contact me via email, ed@rsic.co.uk, or Twitter @rootsimp. If you've enjoyed the video and found it informative, please help get the word out by sharing it on social media. Thanks very much for watching.